It's not an
This
order.
work session regular meeting of the Township Council is called to order. Madam Clerk.
In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this work session, regular meeting of the Franklin Township Council was made by the posting on the bulletin board in the municipal building and township website and electronically transmitted to official designated newspapers indicating that this work session regular meeting will take place in the municipal building council chambers at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, July 12, 2022.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation by Councilman James Vassanella.
To the flag.
May those assembled here today enjoy the many offerings of our township. May we abide by the rules we have established, those of trust, fellowship, and ethics, and may we place service above ourselves in our daily endeavors. And may we always test ourselves in our efforts to be sure they are the truth, good for all concerned, of benefit to mankind, and provide peace and understanding for all. Amen.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Benson?
Here.
Councilwoman Francois? Mayor Kramer?
Here.
Councilman Onijaka?
Here.
Councilmember Potasnik?
Present.
Deputy Mayor Pruitt? Councilwoman Udon? Here. Councilman Vassanella?
Here.
Councilman Wright?
Councilwoman, you know how to make an entrance. Commendations and proclamations, we have none. Do we have a motion to open to the public? So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of opening to the public, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. We are open to the public. 5 minutes person. Please give your name and address. You may only speak once. No yielding of time. Anyone wishing to speak, please come up to the mic. That's it. Your time's up.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and councilmen, councilwomen, mayor. Thank you for your service. My name is Stanislav Jaracz, 22 Heather Drive. I'll be short today. This is something I wanted to mention before. Thank you for procuring 10 electric vehicles in 2019, actually 5 of them in December 2018, 5 of them half year later. The benefits put aside, those vehicles are under recall. There were 2 tiers of the recall. The temporary recall was released a year ago, and all of those vehicles have been taken for that recall. And after the recall, some of the vehicles elsewhere got fire because the temporary recall, Chevy Bolt EV, because those recalls were not full. Chevy decided to make full recall, which means total battery replacement. That recall was applicable to all of those vehicles in December 2021. For the record, that recall number is 21V560. As of yesterday, none of the 10 Chevy Bolt EVs that are under Franklin Township have been taken for the final recall. It's a free recall. I'm just would like to get your opinion on whether this will be taken care of, but I mean, this should be taken care of because it's a safety issue, and it brings. I myself, I have 2 of these vehicles, And it actually, not only that it improves the safety, but it actually elevates the battery capacity, and it resets the warranty for another 8 years, 100,000 miles. Those vehicles are wonderful vehicles. They should have much more utility than those 5% that, based on public records, are these vehicles used. They should be used for much more than that. I'll just stop here. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Peterson.
Lake Avenue. Mrs. Peterson, 12 Lake Avenue in Somerset. I'm here representing many of my neighbors who are sick and tired of the idling of trucks in our neighborhood. I want to ask each of you, how would you like to be awakened at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., or worse, you're awakened between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. in the morning because trucks keep sitting on hill, lake, and when they're sitting on lake, they're sitting in front of a fire hydrant. And that's from my neighbor who is ill and cannot be here today. We're also asking you, and I'm representing all the families on the street with young children now, when are you going to enforce traffic laws? People going 80 miles an hour down Lake is going to kill somebody at the intersection of Lake, Hill, and Spring one of these days. There's been some near collisions, and we can't understand why police cars are coming, but they're not doing anything. So put up no idling signs. They are a state law, and you can put them up. They don't cost much. We'd like to also see that you remember that Molecular used to be located at 6 Shirley Avenue, and that building was nowhere in capacity for stripping wire using caustic chemicals. And now you want to put in the Franklin grower, which is going to grow cannabis, marijuana for people who don't know what that is, and it stinks. I've done a lot of research on regulating the odor. It's going to take a lot of special equipment to regulate the odor, special filters that have to be changed often. It's high cost and high maintenance. So I'm asking again, how would you like to have this plant sitting not more than 100 feet from your house, and you're downwind from them? You are putting 2 out, one on Apgar and one on Cottontail. I believe that's enough. Those are also, for the most part, away from most schools. So reconsider where this plant could go and ask yourself, do you want it in your backyard, mister? No. Do you want it in your backyard, Mr. Kramer? Do you, Mrs. Francios? Mr. Wright is not here today. And then please resubmit online the ordinances, because I know they're already changing, so we can say to you, when are you going to enforce existing ordinances, traffic laws, illegal dumping, and especially the use of private property for toilets by truckers who think they have the right to go in, like on the back of 10 Lake, and urinate and defecate, so you have to smell it all day. They're also using township property, so you may want to give it serious thought. And when it comes to these adopting a drain, I'm asking that you do not pay somebody $11,000 to do research. If residents are going to keep them clean, then they need help. Pay your public works, not for somebody to get their degree in environmental science. Thank you.
Benjamin Guy, 35 Patton Drive. I had a couple of things I want to do. One is, like I said before, I'm going to ask every council board meeting. Are we going to have an update with somebody come here from the youth center to give updates on the program so that the kids can know what activities are going on? I know that County's been actually giving an update on what's going on in the parks, but I want to make sure that we're being consistent with what's going on so that the kids have something else to do, because we are seeing an uptick in certain things that are going on around here, and I want to make sure before anything else happens, we make sure that we are trying to get at these kids as much as possible and give them opportunities as much as possible right now. Second portion is just because it's going to be a conversation not this year, but going into next year. Affordable housing is going to be a thing that's going to be coming up. I know that we said we meet our quotas, and I've had this conversation with Mr. Healy before about this. It's not about now, it's about the future and what exactly we're going to be doing, because as inflation hits everybody, it's going to be the things that we're going to have to be considering whether or not we're going to be, as a city and a town and a county, how we're going to be reinvesting to make sure that our people, both elderly and also low-income people, will actually have a chance to actually live in this area. And right now, I think is a good time to actually evaluate that. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the county themselves came here and specifically made a report. They had to step in and actually give $2.8 million out to residents that were actually affected by COVID during the time frame, right? So this is a report. They gave it to Franklin Township. The county gave that. What's going on with the people? What's going on with them people's lives now? You have to ask yourself this, and what you're going to be doing with it in the future. So the question is that as a township, when we don't do a lot of programs with the county at this specific time frame, we haven't done it really on a regular basis on the last 40 years. What are we doing to actually subsidize that type of income that actually got placed on behalf of the county to put down here? So it's just a question to ask. The second portion is that just because of food insecurity, I know we rely on food bank a lot. I was trying to see, are we doing farmers markets anymore here? I wasn't sure if there was one done on a regular basis. With the vouchers actually doing, the county's actually doing it now. And I just want to point it out to actually say whether or not we're going to be doing it as a Franklin Township itself. And then to Mr. Vonlocker directly, just for reporting wise, I just want to know, over the last 3 to 5 years, have we had a surplus in the budgets of reporting any time frame over the last 3 to 5 years, and what have we done with that actually surplus with reinvestment acts for things that are here? So those are the type of things I just want to have a conversation about publicly and just, see what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Jim Johnston at 34 Norwich Place. Boy, it's a hot day. I'm trying to stay cool. I want to come up here and express my support for the Canal Walk residents. I don't live in Canal Walk, but I support what they're doing or what they're expressing their concerns about. I've heard some of you say that you say that when a developer submits the paperwork to the planning board, when that is done, after that point, it is next to impossible to stop the approval process from that point forward. Now, I myself, I don't know, I'm not an expert in this, but what I see going on in other towns, it would seem not to be the case. Last month, you may have seen this in the news last month in Bridgewater, and this was reported in the My Central Jersey and Bridgewater Patch. Last month, the Bridgewater Town Council, succeeded in stopping the construction of 400 luxury apartments in Bridgewater, even after they had been approved by the planning board. Okay, now that was the result of a 2-year-long legal battle because the developer sued, and I admit I don't know how much the town had to pay in legal fees, but there it is. They succeeded in doing it, and so I don't know if that can be done here in Franklin or not. Okay, now the other thing is I also heard some of you say, some of you were suggesting that we could hire our own lawyers and bring our own lawyers to these planning board meetings and zoning board meetings. And I think that you will understand how I can say that for most of us that would be impractical because as you know, to hire a lawyer is very expensive. It could cost thousands of dollars for me to hire a lawyer to bring into the planning board meeting or the zoning board meeting. But then, of course, the developer, like some of you have said, the developer, he has deep pockets. He's got millions of dollars to spend. He has a big lawyer coming to them every meeting pleading his case. So we ordinary citizens, we go to these planning board meetings. I've never been to a planning board meeting. But I have been to many, many zoning board meetings, and I can tell you from experience, the developer always has their lawyer there pleading their case, and most of the time, if we citizens say something that they don't like, their lawyer will cut us off in mid-sentence and forbid us to speak anymore, with the exception of the final meeting. At the final meeting, just before they vote, then we can ask questions freely. But before that, they place very strict restrictions on what we're allowed to talk about. So I just wanted to put that out there, and okay, so thank you for listening. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Everyone. My name is Khadijah Stewart. I'm actually from Baltimore, Maryland. I have contracted with SCAB, Franklin Grace Resource Center, and other organizations that are trying to change the youth, the underprivileged youth experience here. As you all know, last year, well, the past couple of years during COVID, homeschooling became something that everyone's talking about, right? It wasn't successful for a lot of kids. A lot of kids aren't going back to school. A lot of kids are not wanting to go to school. So what I've done is I've contracted actually for my business. I have an address here in Franklin. And I like Franklin. I love the township. I love Somerset. I love the area. So what I've done is I've contracted to bring business training, homeschool training, tutoring, and all of these different programs for the youth here in the city. Part of what makes that successful for me, I'm an 18-year homeschooler. All of my kids have been homeschooled. I have 8. I have 4 that are currently in college, 1 who has 2 degrees. Part of what made that successful was the swimming program. I have 6 kids who are competitive swimmers, 3 of which are certified lifeguards. I have asked on several occasions, can I have a pool? I just want a pool. That's all I want. I want to give free training to the youth here in this area. I have trainers that are ready to train, that are ready to teach. Every time I ask for a pool, I'm given a runaround. So all I'm asking is that you make a pool accessible to us so that we can give these kids free swim training. That is all I'm asking. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
My name is Carla Visser, and I live in Somerset Run, and I'm president of the civics group in Somerset Run. And I want to say a couple of things. Number one, we too support Canal Walk, very much so. We're in awe of them. They're amazing. And more importantly, we support having quality life in our township. That's really the important thing for all communities here, whether they be for older people or just the community in general. We all want people to grow up and live in an area where there's not a lot of pollution, it's not going to create health problems, Dr. Kramer, where you don't have to worry about your kid being exposed to diesel pollution every day when they go to school and when they leave school, and what's going to happen to them when they grow up. So I'm very concerned about the project that's going to be taking place near the high school, because those kids are going to be exposed to pollution, and it's going to affect their health, their growth, and their futures. So that's something I was wondering if that has been changed, will be changed because of the new ordinance that you're going to be discussing, that I got a copy of. That's a question I have, to know, is there any way that that can be changed because of the high school that's nearby and the high school kids that are there? I can't even imagine why we put that there, knowing that there are kids nearby. I just can't imagine it. So that's my real concern. It's to make sure the kids of our community and the people of our community have a quality life, and they don't have to worry about disease in their life, later in their life. That's my question to you.
Thank you. By the way, Ms. Fisher, thank you for all the help you gave over here. Right here.
Yes.
all the help you gave us with getting people vaccinated, the height of that. You were instrumental. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Mayor, seeing no one come forward, I motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
I second that.
All in favor of closing public portion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Public portion is closed.
Mr. Mayor, can I just
Yes, sir.
respond to something that was mentioned by members of the public? Two things. First is I think that what council's position is not that once an application is filed, there's nothing you can't stop the grant of an application. That's not the issue. The issue is that once an application is filed, you can't change the ordinance to try to stop the project. And I think that's the distinction that counts. And I'm a little familiar with the Bridgewater project, and it's actually pretty ironic that you raised it because that project originally had 400 units of housing, and the settlement that the township had was to replace the housing with 300,000 square feet of warehouse space. So I just understand, and by the way, that project was approved by the town in 2019, and they were sued by the developer. So that wasn't the town stopping a development. That was the town ultimately reaching a compromise with them about the development. But just so you know, so the narrative that, well, Bridgewater stopped the development, why can't you stop the development? It's actually a cautionary tale there, right? So they ended up with something that we might find to be far worse. And once again, it was originally in 2019 a plan Township Council. So just thought I would mention that for the record.
Okay. We're on to council comments. We will start with Councilmember Potasnik.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things. One, I wanted to congratulate two folks that aren't here right now, but that were instrumental in the Juneteenth parade, Councilman Wright and our Deputy Mayor, Crystal Pruitt, and others who helped put that together. I think we didn't have council comments last time around, and would love to see, that effort grow. It was really a great celebration down in East Franklin. Beautiful day, beautiful weather, about an important remembrance, and I think a lot of people in the community really enjoyed it. So I wanted to mention that. And then a couple other things that are on the agenda that I wanted to highlight that are of importance to folks in my ward, Ward 1. There is in the consent agenda an awarding of two bids of interest. One is the Kingston extension, which would connect Kingston to American Water, which will help with water pressure issues in the area. Once that is approved, later, it'll probably be April. I think we were talking about a little earlier tonight, everything is supply chain issues. So 12-inch pipe is going to take at least 9 months once it's approved tonight to come in. And we need about 1.25 miles to make that connection happen. And that would basically start in the spring of next year if everything goes well. And then in addition to the Buddhist Bahara, I know it's important, the phase 2 of the pump station on 518 is also on the consent agenda tonight. And if the bid is approved, which I hope it is, then by the end of the year, that pump station will be back up and fully functioning, which will allow a water test to happen so they can finish their temple upgrades. So that's exciting, and that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Onijaka.
Thank you, Mayor. What I want to talk about is the little bridge, the one-way bridge in Kotleyu. Though we have the speed limit there, but the bridge is so narrow that, and it constitutes a lot of risk to accidents. I use that bridge a lot.
So, Councilman, I'll let you know that that bridge is under the control of Somerset County, and there's a plan to replace that bridge in its entirety with a 28-foot wide bridge, and I believe that project is upcoming in the next several months.
Oh. Okay, that's good. Okay. Mayor, that is what I have now, so I'll get my answer right now.
Look how powerful you are. You got it fixed and
So you ask and you shall receive. Quarterly Lane, Stan, Quarterly Lane.
Currently,
Councilman Embarrasson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have anything to report because I was out of the country for about 10 days, just got back over the weekend. The first meeting that we attended today was the Public Works, and I'm sure my colleague Jim will give us an update. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Kimberly Francois.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One thing I wanted to comment on is the person that came up to talk about the pool and providing swim training, swim lessons. We do have a pool in Franklin Township called the Neiman Williams Park. And I know at some point, I'm sure the township manager in his comments, he may make a comment about that. But this year, we were actually providing free training for lifeguards over at the youth centers, so that we would have enough people to be lifeguards. Not necessarily swim lessons, but there might be some opportunity.
That's true, but we also provided, through community development block grants, we provided funding to the YMCA to provide free swim training for youth here in Franklin Township. We also provide swim lessons through our summer camps at Neiman Williams Park as well. That is on a sliding scale from free to full cost for the camp based on income of the parents. So there are swim lessons provided at that pool. That's the only pool we have.
So is there any opportunity to plug more people into that?
I think that what I can offer this very nice lady here who came up to the microphone is the opportunity to speak with the recreation staff and see if there's some way to do that. I mean, that's what you can do. They'll be more than happy to talk to you about it.
Okay, so Khadijah, you've connected with SCAP. Okay, all right. So we'll try to plug you in. There is one thing I wanted to comment on about the youth center. So we're not necessarily going to have staff come here to every meeting, but I can give updates as to what's going on. So currently on July 11th, which was yesterday, the Divas and Gents drill team started over at the youth center providing programs. We have Zumba programs over there. We have a Middle Earth Summer Employment Program. It's an 8-week program that will provide employment opportunities as well as helping the kids learn career planning and employment skills and financial skills. We also have the Boys Council and the Girls Council. Girls Circle is over there. SCAP is also providing 2 service provider types for girls, for volleyball, and for STEM environmental planning. We also have pickleball. That's something the girls like, so we had to have pickleball for the girls. We have an improv comedy 101 program over there. We've been talking with First Baptist to do some social media engagement and youth focus groups. And Chris Johnson also is going to start his entrepreneurship program. I believe we're starting a satellite, and then he'll be over there in the fall. So that's just a highlight of some things that have started since July. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Vassanello.
Thank you. We did have a meeting, as mentioned, the Public Works meeting earlier this evening. Councilwoman Udin and Potasnik and Councilman Embarrasson. The project was already mentioned in Ward 1, which is great, relevant to Kingston. And otherwise, as you'll see on the agenda, 2 resolutions tonight to award contracts for a major piece of our repaving for this year. There's 2 awards going out, and we just reviewed, there should be 2 more awards going out for the balance of the roads that we were going to do this calendar year at our August meeting. So if things go well, we'll be approving those contracts and getting the balance of the paving done, and whatever can't be done because of weather will be moved to the spring. And we'll also provide an updated list once it's been finalized. what will be done this year and what will get kicked to next spring. The fireworks were great for anybody who wasn't there. I suggest go next year. Some of us council people were there and many people from the town. It was great. And again, using the gazebo for the community event worked out well. The mentioning about the pool, what it's worth, I think many of us in town and many of us on council have been hoping that there's a way we would have a public pool, whether it was built privately, which usually they are, or a private-public partnership. But we do have the one that was mentioned, and it's great programs at Naaman Williams because of its size and that it's outdoor. Of course, it's limited in what it can provide. Someone who never competed as a competitive swimmer, but swimming most of my life for fitness, I couldn't agree more. And it's not just for kids. I think they should start literally teaching swimming for anybody who's physically able to in kindergarten, if not before. But elderly people, for anybody, swimming is the one thing that, even handicapped, most everybody can take advantage of. And I've never heard, obviously if you do it safe, as long as you do it safely, anything but that is good for your health in so many different ways. Unfortunately, it's hard, and nowadays, almost like the way retail has gone, where everything is big, gigantic, and consolidated. So I'm a big supporter of YMCAs, and hopefully someday, perhaps we'll have one in our town. But because their new business model, I say new in the last 10 or 20 years, has been more about building mega centers. And I don't blame them for whatever business model works for them. But unfortunately, you can't really get just a indoor pool to be built easily, because it's extremely expensive for government to do it alone. And there's less and less small to mid-sized companies that will go out there and do an aquatic center other than the YMCA. So I hope, it's been a while since we've discussed it up here, and there's hopes and talks going on that something might happen with a YMCA. But in the meanwhile, I hope that some company will come in and find a business model that they can exist. Because there are so many people in this town, whether it's organized groups, whether it's a youth center, possible program. I used to swim in town, that's since closed. They did senior aerobics, whatever it is. But I just hope that there'll be, I don't know if there's another town with 70,000 residents in this state that doesn't have a public pool. So I'm not going to say any more, but I don't think, glad it was brought up. I just don't, there's not an easy way out to solve that, but I hope there will be soon. That's all.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Udine.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Just a few things from our last meeting. We had a Public Works meeting right before this council meeting, and I know a couple of us have already updated you guys on what we discussed. One of the things that I wanted to add to that is that Middlebush Park is going to have a skateboard, and that's going to be built hopefully by August of this year. So that's an excellent new addition, a renovated addition for our kids who love to go out there and skate. One of the discussions that we also had in Public Works is around water fountains. I know Jimmy Vesanella, Councilman, had mentioned it last time. We're still reviewing that and seeing if we can have water fountains in all of our parks. And also as an addition to add an animal bowl for our pets that go into the parks so that they can also have water, tap into the water. This upcoming Thursday, I have a meeting with Canal Walk community, and it's basically education information on our current zoning and the proposed zoning plan. So giving them an additional information around what is the current zoning and what we're proposing. And Carla, Vesser, you are more than welcome to join me on that if you would like, or I can come to Somerset Run and have a similar session with you as well. And lastly, I want to wish Eid Mubarak to all those that celebrate Eid on Saturday, July 9th. And I was also on the July 3rd fireworks. Couldn't be there for the fireworks, but attended it earlier during the day, and I absolutely loved the amount of people that joined and came out to be there. So if you have missed it, please do make every effort to be there for the next year. It's a lot of work that our Parks and Recs put together, and it's an amazing show. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Wright.
Good evening, everyone. Never trust New Jersey Transit rails. Never trust them. They cancel trains like you wouldn't believe. But at least I didn't have to pay for it. Council comments. Let me start at the beginning. Some of these I missed saying the last meeting, so what I did was those that needed to be said last time, I just cut them out because the timetable just blew off, didn't do it, so that's one. One of them I had was through the Garden State Film Directors Association, which I'm a member of, they were going to pay for a foursome. Unfortunately, I didn't get back to them in time, and that foursome went to another country club for another activity. So I blew that because of the last council meeting. Sisters and Sisters Network, they have a golf outing, and it's coming up soon. The registration for early bird registration, July 31st. I wanted to give you at least a month in advance hookup, but that's when you get the half price deal. They also have a 5K run, Walk for Life, October the 1st, 2022, from 9 to 5 p.m. Over at Johnson Park, New Brunswick, and, Piscataway. Sign up. Either you have a mother, a sister, a wife that has cancer, undergoing treatment. This is something that is for them and you, because it impacts you because you deal with it. I've had cancer, so I know that not only did it affect me, obviously, but it affected my wife, my 3 kids, my mother, my in-laws, everyone around me, because they help support me. And that's something that we need to look at, and Sister to Sister Network is a thing to do. Now, they're right on Hamilton Street. Their office is on Hamilton Street, so definitely check that out. Pop Warner Football. The cheer and football started today. So I want to tell you, last council meeting, that if you wanted to register for today, you could have. But today was the first day, and go to the website, sign up for it, and move on from there. Speed humps. Residents have called me for speed humps. And some of them, the first thing they said was, Carl, we went to the website and realized that it was sitting on the website for speed humps, speed bumps. And we didn't know it was sitting there. And I said, well, you got to read those puppies. And because what you want, you could always call in the town for. So what they wanted to do was have me come out to their block and look at it, see if it qualifies, see if people in the housing, because it would go in front of somebody's house, would want it there. So there's a lot of things involved with that. But instead of calling me on my phone and texting me, catch me at the Township website, which is councilman.wright at Franklin, one word, NJ, and it's .org. No. .gov. .gov. And then I'll get right back to you. And like I say, I check my website almost every day, so I'll see you out there. The next thing, Hamilton Street. I've been looking at Hamilton Street. And we've been building on Hamilton Street. Commercial on the first floor, 3 stories on top for living quarters, apartments for rent. And we've been building at a good clip. The Hamilton Street Advisory Committee advises us to, what we should do as far as building is concerned. And one of the things that bothered me was commercial should always be on the first floor if you're going to do this. In some buildings, there is no commercial. And that part bothers me. But even more so, you're actually changing the face of a community. And that's the part that you have to look at. Because if I came to your community, started building, and you're saying to me, hey, Carl, this does not fit the character of the neighborhood, but at the same time, you want the economic development because we have been neglected, let's call it what it is, on Hamilton Street. You need to have that commercial to make it viable. That's something we should look at, and that's what they've been doing. But I want to put a little finger in the dike, because if we do it and keep doing it, before you know it, that whole strip is done. And you wipe out everything. So now the neighborhood changes. Now you people in the back are really upset with me. So that's something we're going to bring up later in land use, and we're going to go through all the stops, all the movement on that. But come down on Hamilton Street. You got to come look at it, see what it is. And it's not just a Fourth Ward thing. It's a township thing, because they actually use your infrastructure. You build it, everyone from national politics on down, infrastructure. They use it, and one should become more aware of it. Also, our redevelopment meeting, same thing, our redevelopment meeting agency here in Franklin Township, with Miss Kimberly Francois as a member of, come see us, come to our meetings. It was canceled this month, but, and what we do is our low-income housing, affordable housing, and market rate housing. Now, we're putting people into the system. They're going to use our infrastructure, but it's a situation where that program was put in back in 2000. So, and my house is in the middle of the redevelopment area, by the way. So it's come a long way, some good, and back then I was really angry about it because my house was in the redevelopment area. Fortunately, I was able to pull it out. You need to come there and see what type of housing we're building. People don't travel over that way, but you pass it on Route 27, but you never gave it a second thought. So come look at it, see what's going on with it, travel through the neighborhood, and they're building another section that was approved. You have to come look. Now, if they're going to build something in front of my house, you better be doggone sure I'm going to take a look at it. I'm going to look at it to see what it looks like, how it's going to impact me. So, you know I have a vested interest in that type of building. But more importantly, come out, see what it looks like, come to Hamilton Street, see what it looks like, and come to my neighborhood, right off of Franklin Boulevard. You can't miss us. But definitely come back there to see us. Green space. I was able to add some room for green space, and by green space, I mean play area. I wanted it to be green, not all concrete. Live in New York, you see those tall high-rises, 50 tall, 60 tall, and right outside, you'll find a play area. Half green, half concrete. You go to the b-ball court, the basketball court, and you're playing on asphalt or concrete, more than likely asphalt. You go down, you have a little baseball field. That's green. You have a walk-in area, play area for each individual section. So they built in that green space. And I want to make sure that we build in green space as we go along. The same thing for Hamilton Street. You have to have green space for people to go. Now, some people will say, well, Carl, all you got to do is cross the street, walk down the block, and they're at Hamilton Park. Beautiful thought. But would you allow your 5-year-old kid to cross Hamilton Street to go down to the park? Nah, I don't think so. So, moving on from there, that's my little soapbox for that. This week, my fraternity, Omega Psi Phi fraternity, Mu Gamma Gamma chapter, we're going to do our annual cleanup, and that's from Franklin Boulevard to JFK. We do it every year, plastic bags and all, gloves, everything you need, supplied by the Township, which we love, and we'll do our annual cleanup. So any organizations out there, if you need a volunteer type of activity, this is one, and it's outstanding. Now, paving streets, everyone keeps asking me for that. Mr. Township Manager, I know there's a grading system. We're from A to F, F to A. How's that work?
A to F.
A and down.
Yeah.
And the worst one is?
F.
F. So it's not just pop up and we just go out and pave any street possible. It's we pave the street that looks the worst, and we start paving it. But it has a lot to do with, again, how the street is situated. Was it bad or was good? Like you said, there was a infrastructure there as far as grading is concerned. So if we have any question about that, definitely give us a call. And that is about it. I won't go into stuff I missed the last meeting that, like I said, expired. And I want to apologize because I was angry. And I should have learned, if you're angry, you're angry. If things happen, they happen. Democracy in action, you couldn't. Everyone voted, so you got to learn to live with it. So my council members, I apologize to you in the audience. Residents, I apologize, but sometimes you get angry at things and you should just, as my kids say, Dad, let it roll off your back. You lost the game. Halo. Xbox, I really don't understand that. I lost. Anyway, that is all, Mr. Mayor, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the update on the youth center, Ms. Francois. I enjoy hearing about them. I'm not sure this is the best way to get the information out to the kids.
That would be my report that I was going to comment on, Mr. Mayor. I agree.
And as far as affordable housing goes, We are a model city for affordable housing, as stated by a judge. I'm not concerned about us keeping up with affordable housing. I'm concerned about the consequences of keeping up with affordable housing. Sometimes they are dire, but I have faith in our staff with doing that. As far as the surplus, I can put you all to sleep for 4 hours with what I could tell you about the surplus, and my council members would not like me at all about it. In short, the surplus is $28 million, which is too high. Ideal would be between 20 and 22 million, so that's why our budget is so high this year. I'll quote myself, I've said many times, the only thing worse than tax and spend is tax and not spend, because then you're taxing the money and holding on to it, and the public doesn't get the benefit of it. So we're spending down the surplus. The surplus, by the way, is not the same as a federal surplus. Surplus, you can consider the money we have in the bank. Federal surplus is if there were one, would be every year how much extra you have. The township surplus is our total amount that we have. And then, I know you didn't mean this about the building on the schoolhouse when you said that we are putting in. We're not putting it in, and I have to correct you on it because many people use that language. The township is not putting that in. A developer is putting it in. We have certain rules and laws that govern how you can put one in, and we enforce those, but we are not putting in a warehouse. And as far as the new ordinance that we're putting in, I think it's Section 1 of the United States Constitution talks about ex post facto, that you can't create a law after the fact and have it apply. So once an application is deemed complete, you can't change the law. It's grandfathered under the old law. So I won't get into particulars about this one, but it's unlikely, in my opinion, that anything we do to the law now will change exactly how that development is ruled. And Mr. Manager, I hope you have some comments about the EV, because you would know that more than I would.
The answer about the EVs is I'll talk to the Public Works Director about the EVs and see if he's aware of the recall. That's all I can possibly add to that.
Okay.
And Stan certainly has my number if he wants to call.
Okay, and I'll hand it over to you, Township Manager report.
Yes, thank you. My report is very quick. You answered my questions that were asked of me earlier, so I have to answer about surplus, which, by the way, there is no surplus in New Jersey. There is fund balance, as you know, Mr. Mayor. That's why it's fund balance. It's our balance of our cash on hand in the bank, various forms. Upcoming events, National Night Out is scheduled for Tuesday, August 2nd. It has been a number of years since the township has celebrated National Night Out. For those of you who don't know what National Night Out is, it's an opportunity for the community to come out and gather together with their police department here in the municipal complex, where it will be celebrated here in Franklin Township from, I think, 6 to 9. If you let me scroll on my computer screen. Confirm that? Yes, 6 to 9, August 2nd. The police department will be here to meet with the public, tours of the building, equipment on display. There's entertainment in the gazebo, food vendors and games, and just generally a good time to be had here, and sponsored by the police department. Nice to see that come back. On a different type of note, many of you may have noticed that you haven't received your tax bills yet. Generally, tax bills go out just before the third quarter bills are due in August. Until the state of New Jersey certifies tax rates, which they have not done yet, obviously tax bills can't go out without a certified tax rate. We anticipate that those tax bills will be out late. Therefore, there will be a grace period extended beyond the typical 10-day grace period based on how long it takes for the state to certify the tax rates and the county tax board to mail out the tax bills. We don't actually mail them out. They come out from the county tax board in Somerville. So that's what I have for you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I'll add to the manager's comments about taxes. If you pay them online, really important to hit that submit button at the end. Otherwise, you pay, how much, what did I pay, $18?
I think $18, Mr. Mayor, for not hitting that submit button.
For a little donation to the town.
Mr. Mayor, I forgot one thing, and someone asked me about this. Mr. Bengay, I see him sitting over there. You asked a question about Hamilton Street, and unfortunately, I mean, not Hamilton, Hamilton Street. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to give you the answer. You want to know about paving between JFK Boulevard on down to Hamilton Street. Well, it's scheduled to be paved next year, 2023, because what happens is, just like here in Franklin Township, we pave certain streets according to how things happen. Now, this is the county. It's not Franklin Township that does this. It's the county that's doing this. And I wanted to give you the answer because you asked about it, and I wasn't able to give you the answer, so that's 2023, according to their engineer. Okay?
All right, we are on to item number 9 on the agenda. There are copies of agendas available in front of the clerk. Council discussion items, there are none. Approval of the minutes, there are none to approve. Approval of the warrants. The warrants are the bills we pay in the amount of $19,422,051.86. On July 12th, I presented to the Township Council for payment. Do we have a motion on the warrants?
I move that the warrants is read be paid.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anyone want to pull an item or discuss an item? Madam Clerk.
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Potasnik?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pruitt? Councilwoman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, public hearing and adoption of ordinance on second reading. First reading is when we announce to the public that we are considering an ordinance. Second reading is our opportunity to actually pass the ordinance. We have, I think, 4 second readings, 3 second readings. The first is ordinance number 4369-22, ordinance to amend the code of the Township of Franklin County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, more particularly Chapter 46, Personnel Policies, Section 46-4, Non-Discrimination, Gender Identity or Expression, is presented to the public in final adoption, and a public hearing has been announced as required. Do we have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Moved in second. All in favor of opening to the public, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We're open to the public on this item only. Same rules as last time. Anyone wishing to speak on this item?
Mayor, seeing no one coming forward to speak, a motion to close the public portion of the hearing on this ordinance.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of closing public portion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. Do we have a motion on the item?
I'll move 4369-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded. You brought this up, Councilmember Potasnik. Do you want to make any comments?
I don't think so.
Okay. Any other discussion on this item? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Potasnik?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pruitt? Councilwoman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes. Ordinance 4270-22, an ordinance amending the municipal code of the Township of Franklin County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, more particularly creating a new chapter 245, non-gender specific restrooms is presented for public hearing and final adoption. The public hearing has been noticed as required. Do I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of opening to the public, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We are open to the public again on this item only. Same rules as anyone wishing to speak.
Mayor, seeing no one coming forward from the public, a motion to close the public portion of the hearing on this ordinance.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of closing public portion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. Do we have, Mr. Potasnik, do we have a motion on the item?
I moved 4270-22.
And I heard Councilwoman Udine seconding it. Any discussion?
I just want to point out with this one a little more, I don't know, confusing or whatever, but we talked about this last time, so I don't want to speak at length. But basically what this does is take a business like the Dunkin' Donuts on Route 27 that was just redone, where they have two bathrooms. One is marked male, one is marked female, but inside they're identical, and take off that sign that says male and female and replace it with simply restroom or something else, so that they're available for anyone who wants to use it. That's what this ordinance does, and businesses have about a half a year to comply with the changing of the signs, and hopefully it'll reduce lines and be more inclusive for folks of all gender identities. And that's it. That's all of my comments.
And I'd like to point out those are single-use bathrooms, single-person bathrooms.
Single use, yeah, I forgot that, the key item. So that means there's one toilet in there and a door that locks. It's single use, single occupancy, unless you're needing assistance, then that's the only reason you would have someone in there with you. But these are intended for a single person.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to discuss? Madam Clerk.
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Potasnik?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pruitt? Councilwoman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Ordinance 4372-22, ordinance amending the municipal code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, more particularly Chapter 226, Vehicle and Traffic, Section 226-17, Vehicle over designated weight excluded from certain streets, in particular Weston Road and Weston Canal Road municipal portion, is presented for the public hearing and final adoption. Public hearing has been noticed as required. Anyone wishing to speak on this? I'm sorry, do we have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. Anyone wishing to speak on this item only? Last opportunity for the public to speak tonight.
No one coming forward, Mayor, a motion to close the public portion of the hearing on this ordinance.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of closing public portion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. Do we have a motion on the item?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. This is basically surrounding Canal Walk with weight-limited roads, including going along Weston Road to Elizabeth Avenue. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk.
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer? Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Potasnik?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pruitt? Councilwoman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
We're now on to item number 13, ordinance on introduction and first reading. Number 4373-22, an ordinance amending the code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, more particularly Chapter 226, Vehicles and Traffic, Section 226-30, Handicap Parking. The foregoing ordinance is presented to the Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting, publication in accordance with the law, and public hearing and final adoption at the meeting of the Township Council to be held on August 9th, 2022, at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. Do I have a motion to introduce?
So
Second.
Moved and seconded. This is when people are handicapped and it's difficult for them to park in front of their house, they can request a handicap parking space to be put in front or nearby their house, and that's what this is. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Potasnik?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pruitt? Councilwoman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Consent agenda, items A through EE is listed on the consent agenda portion of this meeting, represents the Township Council for adoption. Do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anyone want to discuss an item, pull an item? Hearing and seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Potasnik?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pruitt? Councilwoman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes. We have no resolutions to be voted on separately. Item number 16, old business, boards, committees, commissions, vacancies. Does anyone have a nomination for any of our boards, committees, commissions?
Mayor, I have a nomination to appoint Quinlan Paris as the new junior commissioner for our HRC. The school year got over, so the previous junior commissioner has moved on to college, and we have a new junior commissioner, Quinlan Paris, from the Franklin High School.
No pomp and ceremony there. Thank you for your time. Goodbye. Any other nominations? Okay, we can do that by acclamation then. All in favor of the nominations, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Congratulations, your time will come too. And,
Like all of us.
exactly. Any other nominations? We're all future former. Any other nominations? Hearing and seeing none, there's no executive session. Do we have a motion to adjourn? So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. We are adjourned. Be well, Franklin.